am an architect studying light through art installations. I see light through lens of somebody who designs buildings and spaces. Light is a medium in which we are immersed. It is all around us. It is what allows us to see in this space. It not only comes from the sun and the light fixtures above us, but it comes from our screens, TV screens, and personal tablets. So we are immersed in light, but how often do we think about quality and quantity of light that we receive? I am going to show 3 art installation projects that I have been leading. But before I do that, I'd like to talk about how light affects us on a daily basis. 2 summers ago, I spent the month of June in Iceland. I think we take for granted that our days have lightness and darkness cycles. It took me coming to a place like this and seeing the midnight sun to realize that when the sun doesn't set, it doesn't get dark, and it doesn't induce sleep the same way. The residency where I was conducting my research was located on a horse farm, and because the sun stayed up, it never set, I spent many hours after midnight watching the horses run around, play, and eat late into the night. This is at 2 a.m. Just like they're human caregivers, they're human keepers. Until electricity illuminated our towns and cities about 130 years ago, our ancestors, the factory workers and farmers, stayed up and worked, and as long as the sun let them see, and went to bed when the sun no longer let them see, and rose with the sun. In other words, they were in sync with the solar cycle. In contrast, this is where I spent my summer this year. This is in Tokyo, Japan. But this light condition is very similar to most post-industrial cities around the globe. We stay up, we work 24/7 around the clock. We stay up long after the sun sets, sometimes staying up until past midnight, expecting a phone call from the other side of the globe. In other words, we have become out of sync with the solar cycle as a result of being exposed to light and having light extend our days. Scientific research in neuroscience and sleep medicine has shown that our eyes have non-visual functions. There are non-visual photoreceptors in our eyes that control our circadian rhythm. Circadian rhythm is our internal clock that controls our wakefulness and sleepiness on roughly 24-hour cycle. When we are underexposed or overexposed to light, our circadian rhythm becomes disrupted. So I've talked about some negative impact the light can have on our well-being, but luckily for us, the fact that we are light sensitive also means that light can have a very positive impact on us too. And I believe one way to do this is to slow down with the speed of light. Since the advent of electricity and lamps and electronic appliances in our daily lives in the past century, light has been associated with speed, acceleration, and immediacy. It allows us to communicate faster, travel faster. But rather than just focusing on the fast end of the spectrum, I believe we benefit from examining the advantages of the slow end of the spectrum too. And I believe we can do this by allowing light to capture and sustain our attention. There are different types of attentions. Sustained attention allows someone to stay on task for an extended period of time to complete a task. And divided attention is for multitasking. And I think we are increasingly becoming better at this in the age of distraction. The type of attention that I'm interested in is called, it's what Professor Jennifer Roberts, art historian, calls immersive attention. For her art history class, she gives her students an assignment to go observe a painting in a museum for 3 hours, which is very long, considering that most of us spend only about 3 seconds looking at a painting. Through this exercise, her students learn to see things and learn to see relationships in a painting that they would otherwise have missed. As artists and architects who design spaces, could we use light to bring about that kind of slowness and attention? In 2011, when the northeast coast of Japan was devastated by tsunami and earthquake, the Japan Society in New York organized a 12-hour benefit concert. As a part of this event, my students from Rhode Island School of Design and I participated by making lantern installation in the main atrium of Japan Society. The work entails folded mulberry paper lanterns that are illuminated either from within or from behind. My students ran a 7-hour workshop in which they taught the visitors to the event how to fold the lanterns and hang them on the bamboo frames that were attached to the balustrades in the lobby. The visitors also wrote messages to the survivors of tsunami and hung them on the frame. This happens to be a son of my friend. He was captured by a photographer while reading these messages, and I was touched to see that somebody this young would be so pensively paying attention to these messages. The success at the Japan Society led to an opportunity to design another paper lantern installation, this time at the Smithsonian's Freer Gallery in Washington, D.C. on the National Mall. We ran the workshop again, but this time with my engineering collaborators, we asked ourselves, what effect would dynamic rather than static light have on the space and the relationship between people and space? Each of the 5 bays that made up this loggia, where we installed the paper lanterns, had ultrasonic sensors that captured people's movement and presence. And in response to people's presence, the speakers and light fixtures emitted sound and light. So the image above is with no one in the space, and below it has become activated. And what's important here is that the output in response to the input was not immediate. We deliberately built in delays, so it would require people to be patient and wait for the colors and sounds to change. These photographs are taken of the same space, but at 3 different times. So you can see the difference in the light purple color light when there's no one present, and as one person enters the space, it turns light pink, and as more people gather in the space, the color becomes deeper magenta. The most recent project, The Cloud, was designed with my architecture students and co-directed with Professor Izo Bukovic of computer music and along with his students. A constellation of 50 cloudlets make up the cloud. Each cloudlet has a speaker, a microcomputer, light sensors, and a microphone to capture the sound. And in response to the light and sound in the environment, it emits light and sound. But the difference between this one and the previous is that it takes this dynamic, interactive light to the next level of intelligence. These are able to read each other and hear each other. Studying the scientific information on the impact, non-visual function of our eyes, and reflecting on our own work has taught me this, that there is a great potential to use light in ways that contrast the conventional association of light with speed and acceleration. I believe we can slow down with the speed of light and allow light to shape our lives if we shape our physical and temporal context in which we receive light. I'm going to conclude this talk by playing a video. You'll hear sounds which were also part of the installation. There were different sounds. Thank you.